Hi guys. This is the type of thing that not a lot of people will believe. A psychic medium is a person who can like talk to the dead, but like also literally know everything. I don't know, without being told. So when you first go there, she lights candles and like she does a little prayer, with the white light, and it's like to protect you. And after that, she just got right into it. She literally said, "Okay, I see you writing down a positive and negative list." And I literally got chills all over my body. I was like, "What do you mean?" Like trying to get her like say more information. I was like, "Yeah, that's so crazy. I was literally just writing positives and negatives about my boyfriend." She said she sees a flower and it was like all of its petals were like open except one, and she was like, "Oh, like what's holding you back?" And like all this stuff, and it's just like, I mean, I don't know. So basically she mentioned medical field and like all this stuff. School, honestly I don't remember much because it was like so long ago. And this time I asked, "Oh, who's my guardian angel?" And she gave me the letter A, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I had no idea. I was like, "A, like who's A?" And I went a second time. It was like somewhere around like February this year. And basically, all right, let me give you the backstory. So I used to work at a like nursing home, assisted living kind of place. I'm not gonna say the name, obviously. And I loved all the residents, but I was like attached to this one resident, and we'll call her Julia. Okay. And I felt like I loved this woman. I was like, why do I feel like I literally love this woman? And I didn't think much of it. I was like, whatever, you know? Maybe she's nice. I don't know. She had Alzheimer's and she eventually went into a nursing home and unfortunately passed away not shortly after. And when she did, a few days after, I was at work and I went into the kitchen to make myself a meal for lunch. And in my head, obviously, I was like, if you're like with me, like give me a sign. And we have to put these like microwave containers like over the plate. And we have like one stack for the residents and one stack for the staff. And usually they take out the people's microwave plates that leave or pass away, and keep that in mind. And I went to go grab one from the staff pile, and I had this sudden urge to like look down. And I looked down and it said Julia, and I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, like how? So immediately after that I wanted to go to the psychic, and I saved up money because it's not cheap. And after the prayer and the candles and everything, the white light, the first thing she brought up was my jobs. Basically, she was telling me I'm on the right path and whatever I'm doing is good. And then she got into more detail. She said, "Who are these 3 people that have been asking for you?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, 3 people have been asking for you. I see a J, and a P. And I was like, oh my god. Because a few days prior, one of my jobs called me and they were like, "Oh, like, let me change the names. Joey, Jules, and Patricia." How does she know that? Even down to the initials? I don't know. And she was talking about college and all of this stuff, and she was like, "Oh, like, you're going into the medical field." Like, obviously we talked about that last time. And I was like, "Yeah, blah, blah, blah." And she was like, "Oh, what year are you graduating?" And I was thinking about it. I was like, am I graduating? And I was like, oh, like, I think a year late because I did like the CNA program and like all of that stuff. And she turned her paper around and it said 2022. And like, if she were to guess when I was graduating, she knew my age. She would have just been like, oh, like 2021 as a guess. And it wouldn't have been right. Another thing she was talking about is my future. And She told me I'm gonna move down south, have 2 kids, and be very successful in the medical field. But like, I'm gonna work in Boston still for 2 years or something, earn money, and then go. And I was talking to a kid at this time. She kept writing down the letter M, and I was like, M. And she was like, oh, like a friend, or maybe more than a friend. And we're gonna call him Michael. Shout out Michael if you're watching this. And I was like, oh, like Michael? And she was like, yes. And she basically described who he was, like without knowing him. I don't know, that's really weird. She was like, oh, what does he do for work? And I was like, oh, like he wants to go into the union. And she was like, I'll give it 6 months and he'll get a call back. And fast forward to after the session, I don't know what you want to call it, the appointment, I texted him and I was like, blah, 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 blah. You're gonna get the job in 6 months. And he sent me a picture of this paper that said, you'll get a call back June 6th or July 6th. And that's exactly 6 months. I don't know. Could be a coincidence, right? My second kept writing down J. And I was like, J? Like, what do you mean J? And she was like, oh, like a person. And I was like, and I was naming like Jean, like all these people. She was like, no. And I was like, oh, Julia. And she was like, yes. And she wrote down love, love, love. And she wrote down mother figure. And like, she was like, oh, like you were really close with her, right? I started bawling my eyes out. And I was like, yeah, like I used to like take care of her, and I used to draw her pictures, and I even made a bracelet for her. And she was like, are you wearing that bracelet right now? And I got chills all over my body because it was February. I was wearing a sweatshirt, a huge jacket, and I had my hands in my lap. There is no possible way she could have seen that, nor knew what it meant. And she was like, if you see, and this part's important, she was like, if you see a red cardinal or a butterfly, that's her letting you know she's with you. And since we were talking about my guardian angels, by the way, she's my guardian angel, she brought up my grandfather, and his name was DiPetri Antonio. And she told me that every time Pink Floyd plays around my mom, it's him letting her know that he's with her. And recently, I have been hearing it a lot at the most convenient times. And I asked her, and I was like, oh, like, does Pink Floyd have anything to do with it? And she was like, yes, that's his way of letting you know that he's with you. Another thing she told me was I would get a big money opportunity, and I have to look out for the letter G. Still waiting on that though. The weird part is, we were talking about family, right? And she was like, oh, like, you don't really have like the closest relationship with your dad. And I was like, oh, like, we go out to eat sometimes. And she was like, well, that will all change when you're 30. I'm like, what? She was like, yeah, like, he's gonna regret like not being in your life as much, and when you're 30, you guys are gonna be close. And I was like, okay. And she was like, do you have any brothers or sisters? And I was like, no. And she was like, are you sure? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, are you sure? And she was like, I see 2. And I was like, I have a half brother, but I haven't seen him in so and so plus years. And it's crazy that she knew that. I don't know. I have never brought him up before. I don't know. She was like, you guys will be close when you're 30. Your kids will be close. They'll be friends. And she told me that my number is 3. Like, everything for me comes in 3s. Like, and it makes sense because I always see 3-3 or like 3-3. So now comes into play the part where you're gonna think I'm delusional. So little by little, since like January-ish, I've been hearing Pink Floyd. And I never thought anything of it until like I started feeling my grandfather's presence. I have a really old car. It's a Mercury, but like I paid for it, so like it's my car, you know? I'm happy about it. And I don't have an aux cord. I'm too cheap to buy one of those things that plug into the charging USB, whatever. That's definitely not the word. So my broke ass brings a speaker that I listen to. And sometimes it's not charged. Like in the meantime, I have to listen to the radio. And like recently, I sat on the cord and I think it like split. I don't know. Basically, it doesn't work. I don't know what happened. And around Mother's Day, I usually don't do much for my mom, even though that sounds bad. Like this year I did. And I heard Pink Floyd 4 times that day. So after work, I went and bought my mom flowers and chocolate, whatever. I brought it to her, and I heard Pink Floyd in the car. And I was like, okay, Pink Floyd, I love it. And all right, they gotta do something. I can't. Mm-mm. Is that my car? Okay, stop. We're good. Absolutely not. And I spent $75 on me, my grandmother, and my mom's meal that day. And I heard Pink Floyd then. And I did other things, and I kept hearing Pink Floyd like that day. And it was like kind of reassuring. It was like, oh, like you're doing a good job. Keep it up. There was a time where I went to turn on the radio and Comfortably Numb just ended. It was like the end of it. It was like 10 seconds or something. And I was like, wow, I wish I could hear that song. So I played it on the speaker in my car. And after I turned it off, I turned on the radio and it was Pink Floyd, Comfortably Numb, on a different station. And every time I'm upset or thinking about something, Pink Floyd will come on the radio. And one time, like this was a few weeks ago, I was in an Uber with my friend Janet. I'm pretty sure I can say her name. Hey, Janet. And I felt my grandfather's presence. And I was like to the Uber driver, you have to put on this radio station. Like, and he put it on and it was like 100.7. And nonetheless, Pink Floyd Time was playing. Just started. And me and Janet looked at each other and we were like, what? How does that happen? How? One day I was at work and I wasn't having the best day. And I was like, in my head, I was like to my grandfather, if you're like with me, like give me a sign. And I didn't think anything of it. I was like, okay, whatever. Like no one's listening. Like I'm just crazy. And like 15 minutes later, someone walks in with a Pink Floyd shirt. Pink Floyd, and then it had like a picture of the band. I don't know, that's a coincidence. I was like, okay, whatever, it's a coincidence. And in my head again, I was like, oh, like Julie, what is her name? Julia, if you're here, like with me, like watching over me, like give me a sign. Didn't think anything of it. I was like, okay, I really am crazy, like I need to stop talking to myself. Like 20 minutes later, a woman walks in. We weren't that busy. A woman walks in and she was like, oh, like table for 2. And she was talking to like the list person. And she was like, oh, what's your name? And she looked directly at me and she goes, Julia. I was like, excuse me, is this really happening? Like, what? So as you guys may or may have not heard, I had to put my lizard down and my hamster in 1 week, the same week. I don't know how. Basically, my lizard had a genetic thing wrong with him. I don't know. I was doing everything. He didn't have an upper respiratory infection. I spoil my pets. You guys already know. And I had to put him down. And the hamster just died of old age. They said it's very common in old hamsters, congestive heart failure. So I just had to put her down. And on the way to the hospital with my lizard, I heard Pink Floyd. I don't know what song, I'm not gonna lie and sit here and tell you, oh, it was this song. Like, I really don't know. I was trying to get my lizard to the hospital as soon as possible. I had to leave with nothing. I got in the car. I was bawling my eyes out. I turn on the radio and Breathe by Pink Floyd is playing. After I just had to put my lizard down, Breathe? I don't know. That could have been a coincidence. Don't get me wrong. But that's very ironic. And my mom came with me when I had to put my hamster down. And on the way home, in my head, I was like, oh, like, if you're with me, like, I really want to hear the song Money. And this sounds crazy, but it came on Pandora. And then All of My Love started playing after. And my mom was like, that's him. That's literally him. A lot of people have told me, like, I never hear Pink Floyd on the radio. And I listen to the same stations. I don't know. I started seeing signs that Julia was with me recently. Not so much like before, because I didn't know what I was looking for. So I clean people's houses sometimes for my job. I take care of them, all of this stuff. I go to their houses, basically. And this one woman adores me. I love her. And I was cleaning her bathroom, and I felt like this woman presence. I kind of felt like it was Julia. And I look up, and there's a sticker of a butterfly on her mirror. Now that's not that crazy, but I had to add that. One day, me and my friend Ashley, I'm not even gonna hide her name. Hi, Ashley. No. Inside joke. We were sitting on the side of the road in my car eating, and I was like sad that day, and I heard like a loud bird, and I looked to my left, and I look all the way up in the tree. I'm like looking for a bird, and I see a butterfly on the highest point of the tree. First of all, I didn't even know they could fly that high. Like, are you kidding me? I'm kidding, but you get the point. Like, why at the top of the tree, just flying there? And it just flew away. And I'll try to insert the videos.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna say yeah, okay.
They're not good, don't get me wrong. They're like far away in like the Snapchat camera. I was like, oh, what a coincidence. Butterfly. And right after, I kid you not, a red cardinal.
So basically I had to cut out what Ashley said here, but you get the point.
Flies down, sits on the stairs, looks at me, and just leaves. What are the odds? Another weird thing happened to me. I was at my friend Haley and Sam's house. I'm pretty sure I can say their names. Hi, guys. And we were listening to Pink Floyd. We love Pink Floyd. And Wish You Were Here was playing. And I was like, oh, like how nice. Like, I love this song. And a butterfly comes out of nowhere, circles my chair, and then just flies away. I don't know. The other day, the second I got in the car to go to my friend's house, Pink Floyd was playing. I was like, oh, sweet. And then another one came on. And then another one. They played 5 in total. And that's the time it took me to get from my house to my friend's house. You can believe whatever you want to believe. I don't even know if I believe it. It's all crazy to me. So this year, I got into 2 car accidents in the same month. Oh my god. My life this year has been crazy. Neither were my fault. The first time I got into an accident, it was my car. And I drove behind this guy, and he was stopped. And he was like half in the crosswalk, half not. And I was like, what is he doing? And before I could finish my sentence, he backed up like 40 miles per hour into my car. Me and Jules were like, we literally went forward and then like backward. Like whiplash, I don't know. That's a little dramatic, but it was bad. And we both looked at each other. We were like, oh my god, my car is not okay. And he like obviously pulled over, and I pulled over, and he came out smoking a cigarette with his girlfriend, of course, smoking the cigarettes. And we were looking at my car, and we were both like, holy crap. There was not one scratch on either of our cars. We don't know how. He was like, oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. I have a big red car. How do you not see me? And I got back in the car, and Pink Floyd was playing. That's the first thing that came on the radio. The second time I got into an accident was with my friend. I don't think I can mention her name. Not because we're not friends, but like someone rear-ended us like really badly, and we hit the car in front of us, and they hit the car in front of them, and they hit the car in front of them. It was literally a domino effect. It was that bad. And the person actually drove off. Their bumper was on the ground. There were parts everywhere, like rims. And the only way they got caught is because they hit us so hard that the license plate was indented in my friend's car. That's how bad they hit us. The car was leaking fluid, and the police were there, and my mom had to come get me because there's no way I'm walking home. And I get in the car, and I kid you not, Pink Floyd is on the radio. I forget what song. Another thing that happens to me is I'll see like double digits or like triple digits. So like it comes in 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 7s, 8s, and 9s. I don't know. It's really weird. And usually it will have a meaning. And it will be at times where I'm not even looking for it. I will always see it on license plates. I'll see it on houses. I'll see it on phone numbers. I'll see it on receipts, like literally everywhere. And basically 44 or 444 is an angel number, and it means like your guardian angels are like with you. I don't know. So like that's really nice. It's like a reassurance kind of thing. And like 333 or 33, whatever, it means like your life is on track. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you all the meanings of all the numbers, but you can look them up. All in all, believe what you want, be a skeptic still, I don't really care. But if you're trying to go to a psychic medium and you're in the Boston-ish area, let me know, because I have the best one out there. Okay, bye.
It is 12 o'clock in the morning. My God.